When you are running auctions on consignment, KBID can help you organize and track the amounts due back to your consignors. You may have already reviewed the article and video that explains our seller overview page. This video will walk you through the steps to adding a new seller and assigning them a default commission. After logging into kbid.com using your affiliate ID or email, click on Seller Overview in the top left corner of the screen. Scroll to the bottom of the page to the seller list and click on the New Seller button. Let's start with the required fields. At a minimum, you need to include the seller's name, this can be an individual or a company, and an email address. Of the optional information, the first field is Seller ID. This would be the field you use if you want to include seller information when using the spreadsheet upload method of building your auction. Ideally, you'll want to make this something short and unique to that seller. If I'm working with Anchor Construction, I might just enter Anchor. The seller's company name, address, and phone are optional. These will print on the seller settlement if they are filled in. The default commission is the standard per-item commission structure that you and the seller have agreed to for their auction items. This can be a flat rate like 30% or a tiered rate where different commissions apply depending on the final selling price of the item. I'm going to walk through how to set both of these up and also what to do if the commission default doesn't apply to a particular item in an auction. When I click on Select next to Default Commission, your list will probably be blank, and you would create your first rate by clicking on New Rate. First, we need to give our rate a name. One thing to keep in mind is that although we have to go through a specific seller to get to this screen, the commission we create here will be available for all of our other sellers as well. So rather than using a seller-specific name, like Anchor Construction Rate, I'm going to use a general descriptor like straight 50%. Now for every other seller I work with where I'm charging a 50% commission, I can use this rate rather than creating a brand new one. Moving on, the next row identifies when this commission will be applied. The default is if the selling price is between $0 and infinity dollars, which is what we want, so no changes here. The rate type defaults to percentage, and for rate, I've entered 50 for 50%. I'm going to hit save. And if I were creating a new rate, it would now show up in this list, and I can assign it to this seller by clicking on the name of the rate. Now, let's say my agreement with this seller is that if an item sells for over $1,000, I will reduce my commission from 50% to 25%. We need to set up a different commission profile for this scenario. Again, I would click on New Rate, and I'm calling this one Split 50-25. In the price range fields, obviously the bottom of the range will stay 0, and in the other field I've entered 1,000 as this is the top of my first tier. In the rate field, I'm going to enter the corresponding rate for this range, 50%. I would need to save this step before adding the next tier. After saving, I'm going to click View Edit, and you'll see a button appears that says New Range in Rate. You'll see that the rate name and the bottom of the range are fixed based on our previous entry. If I had more tiers, for example, if I reduced my commission further on an item that sells for over $5,000, I could add that here. But since this is just a 2-tier rate, I'm going to leave it as infinity and fill in my rate of 25%. Now you can see on the finished profile, when the selling price of an item is between $0 and $1,000, the commission charged will be 50%, and if the selling price is over $1,000, the commission will be 25%. I'll click Cancel to exit this screen, and then choose my rate from the list to assign it to this seller. Now that I've got my seller created and my default commission assigned, I'm going to hit save, and now I can assign this seller to the lots in my auction. I'm going to return to my dashboard and navigate to the lot list for my auction. Then I'm going to select all of the lots in my auction by clicking this top box above the checkmark column, and then clicking on Batch Edit and selecting Seller. I find my seller in the list and click Update Lots. And now my seller and his default commission have been assigned to every item in this auction. Now let's say that for this first lot, we don't want to use the split commission. We want to collect the straight 50% regardless of the final selling price. I can select just this item, click on Batch Edit again, and change the commission rate for this item. Now in my lot list, I can see that the commission has been updated, but the seller is still intact, so that the consignment payout will be calculated correctly when I run my seller settlement at the end of the auction.